1 Kings 22. There was no war between Syria and Israel for 3 years. In the 3rd year, King Jehoshaphat of Judah came down to visit the king of Israel. The king of Israel said to his servants, "Surely you recognize that Ramoth-Gilead belongs to us, though we are hesitant to reclaim it from the king of Syria." Then he said to Jehoshaphat, "Will you go with me to attack Ramoth-Gilead?" Jehoshaphat replied to the king of Israel, "I will support you. My army and my horses are at your disposal." But then Jehoshaphat said to Israel's king, "Please seek a message from the Lord this very day." So the king of Israel assembled some 400 prophets and asked them, "Should I attack Ramoth-Gilead or not?" They said, "Attack! The sovereign one will hand it over to the king." But Jehoshaphat asked, "Is there not a prophet of the Lord still here that we may ask him?" I love this. So we have 400 prophets, probably of Asherah. Well, we did have the prophets of Baal destroyed. We had Asherah mentioned, but we didn't specifically have them destroyed. So maybe they're prophets of Asherah. Doesn't matter who they are. They're not prophets of the Lord, but the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom at times have relations between the two of them, and they do some times of peace between the two of them. So here we have one of those times of peace. The king of Israel is asking the king of Judah to go to war with him. And he's like, "Yeah, but I want to inquire of God, not of your prophets. I want to inquire of God." The king of Israel answered Jehoshaphat, "There is still one man through whom we can seek the Lord's will, but I despise him because he does not prophesy prosperity for me, but disaster. His name is Micaiah, son of Imlah." So wait, this is not going to be Elijah. It's another word. His name is our supplies for stylistic reasons. Okay. Jehoshaphat said, "The king should not say such things." The king of Israel summoned an official and said, quickly bring Micaiah, son of Imlah." Now the king of Israel and King Jehoshaphat of Judah were sitting on their respective thrones, dressed in their robes at the threshing floor at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. All the prophets were prophesying before them. Zedekiah, son of Kenanah, made iron bars and said, "This is what the Lord has said. With these you will gore Syria until they are destroyed." All the prophets were prophesying the same, saying, "Attack Ramoth-Gilead. You will succeed. The Lord will hand it over to the king." Now the messenger who had summoned Micah said to him, "Look, the prophets are all in complete agreement with the king will succeed. Your words must agree with theirs. You must predict success. Wouldn't you want to know the truth instead of just tell him what he wants to hear?" But Micaiah said, "As certainly as the Lord lives, I will say what the Lord tells me to say." He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm a prophet. I say what God says. That's what I'm going to do. That's what my job is. I'm not here to please anybody. I'm here to give God's message." When he came before the king asked him, "Micaiah, should we attack Ramoth-Gilead or not?" He answered him, "Attack! You will succeed. The Lord will hand it over to the king." The king said to him, "How many times must I make you solemnly promise in the name of the Lord to tell me the truth?" So he says, "I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tell the king what he wants to hear." Then he tells the king what he wants to hear, and the king has to say, "Hey, buddy, I know you're lying to me. You never tell me this." Micaiah said, "I saw all Israel scattered in the mountains like sheep with no shepherd." Then the Lord said, "They have no master. They should go home in peace." The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, "Didn't I tell you he does not prophesy prosperity for me, but disaster?" Micaiah said, "That being the case, listen to the Lord's message. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne with all the heavenly assembly standing beside him on his right and his left. The Lord said, 'Who will deceive Ahab so he will attack Ramoth-Gilead and die there?' One said this and another said that. Then a spirit stepped forward and stood before the Lord. He said, I will deceive him. The Lord asked him, how? He replied, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouths of all his prophets. The Lord said, deceive and overpower him. Go out and do as you have proposed. So now, look, the Lord has placed a lying spirit in the mouths of all your prophets of yours, but the Lord has decreed disaster for you. Okay, I want to go look here if there's something on the footnote of deceive and overpower him. These two imperfect connections, these verbs could be translated specific futures. You will deceive, and also you will prevail. In which case, the Lord is assuring the spirit of success on his mission. However, the commission context, note the following imperatives such as this. It is more likely the imperfects are injunctive, deceive, and also overpower. Okay, so you're going to deceive him. You're going to overpower him, so he will go do the thing you're being deceived to. Now, there's a lot of people that have like, wait, what do you mean a lying spirit, a deceiving spirit? Like, if it's from the Lord, how is it a lying and deceiving spirit? Like, you can play with this idea, you can play around with it and go, is it an evil spirit that gets deployed by God? Is it a spirit who is going to be deceptive and lead him to hear what he wants to hear, to do the things? And I'm not getting caught up in that, and some people want to go that direction. See, God is evil because he uses evil. Well, okay. The word evil is our interpretation of the word ra there, so it can just be a bad spirit, not a good spirit. So it is one who is going to do those things to deceive. But it clearly is going to be deceptive. And deception to someone who is deceptive, not a problem, because we have that repeatedly in Scripture. The women who hide the infants, who are the midwives, are not said to have done bad when they do lie straight up to the king about what he wants to do of killing them. So that the deception is not the same as lying for your own benefit. They are not lying for their benefit. They are lying for the benefit of those lives they are saving. Okay. Zedekiah, son of Kenah, approached, hit Micaiah on the jaw and said, which way did the Lord's Spirit go when he went from me to speak to you? So he's saying, the Lord spoke to me. Which way did he go when he went to speak to you? Micaiah replied, look, you will see in the day when you go into an inner room to hide. So you're going to find out when you're in the inner room hiding. That's where you'll see when God goes. Then the king of Israel said, take Micaiah and return him to Amon, the city official, and Joash, the king's son. Say, this is what the king says. Put this man in prison. Give him only a little bread and water until I safely return. Micaiah said, if you really do safely return, then the Lord has not spoken through me. Then he added, take note, all you people. So he is declaring the king will not return. Yes, I'm in prison, but he will not return to see me. The king of Israel and the king Jehoshaphat of Judah attacked Ramoth Gilead. Okay, wait a minute. Jehoshaphat asked for a prophet of the Lord to say what they should do. Now he's told that Ahab is going to die. Was there more to this of, yes, Jehoshaphat, you should go up and attack? Wouldn't that have been the thing? Yeah, he was told, yes, you'll attack. Oh, yeah, you're going to die. Does that mean you should still go? And what about Jehoshaphat? Jehoshaphat, you were inquiring of God. What? And it was like bad news. So why are you going through with this? I'm missing a piece here, it feels like, but we're going forward. The king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, I will disguise myself and then enter into the battle, but you wear your royal robes. So in other words, Ahab is trying to get Jehoshaphat killed. You'll be the only one who is in royal robes. They'll know that you're the one that's going to die. So it will avoid me and kill you. So the king of Israel disguised himself and entered the battle. Now the king of Syria had ordered his 32 chariot commanders. Remember, we had those already. Do not fight common soldiers or high-ranking officials. Fight only the king of Israel. When they saw the chariot commander saw Jehoshaphat, he said, he must be the king of Israel. So they turned and attacked him, but Jehoshaphat cried out. When the chariot commanders realized he was not the king of Israel, they turned away from him. Now an archer shot an arrow at random and it struck the king of Israel between the plates of his armor. The king ordered his charioteer, "Turn around and take me from the battle line, because I am wounded." So his plan does not work to get Jehoshaphat killed in his place. Ahab goes in disguise, so a random arrow archer shoots him, and he gets wounded. It goes between the plates. He gets wounded. Jehoshaphat is going to battle. They're going to attack him. They think he's the king of Israel, and they're like, "No, he's not," so they stop fighting him. When the battle raged throughout the day, the king stood propped up in his chariot opposite the Syrians. He died in the evening. The blood from his wound ran down into the bottom of his chariot as the sun was setting. A cry went through the camp, "Each one should return to his city and to his homeland." So the king died and was taken to Samaria. When they buried him, they washed off the chariot at the pool of Samaria. Then the dogs licked his blood while the prostitutes bathed, in keeping with the message, the Lord's message that had been spoken. So the dogs are indeed licking up his blood, even though he is buried. While the prostitutes bathe is a weird phrasing here. I don't know where that comes from. I don't remember that in the "here's what's going to happen," but it's there nonetheless. The rest of the events of Ahab's reign, including a record of his accomplishments and how he built a luxurious palace and various cities, are recorded in the scrolls called the Annals of the King of Israel. Ahab passed away. His son Ahaziah replaced him as king. In the 4th year of Ahab's reign over Israel, Asa, son of Jehoshaphat, became king over Judah. Okay. Asa's son. Okay, so we're getting when Jehoshaphat came to power. Okay. Jehoshaphat was 35 years old when he became king, and he reigned 25 years in Jerusalem. His mother was Azubah, the daughter of Shilhi. He followed in his father Asa's footsteps and was careful to do what the Lord approved. So we have a good king followed by a good king in the southern kingdom. However, the high places were not eliminated. The people continued to offer sacrifices and burn incense on the high places. Jehoshaphat was at peace with the king of Israel. The rest of the events of Jehoshaphat's reign, including his success and military exploits, are recorded in the scrolls called the Annals of the Kings of Judah. He removed from the land any male cultic prostitutes who had managed to survive the reign of his father Asa. So some people survived. They were sneaking around. They got through, but he made sure the cultic prostitutes are done with. There were the male ones, at least. Despite Asa's opposition to these male cultic prostitutes, some of them managed to remain in the land. Jehoshaphat finished what his father started. Okay, yeah, that was clear. I don't know what the footnote was for. There was no king in Edom at this time. A governor ruled. Jehoshaphat built a fleet of large merchant ships to travel to Ophir for gold, but they never made the voyage because they were shipwrecked in Ezion Gibber. Wow, that's interesting. So we're going to have he was going to go get some gold, but it didn't happen. Shipwreck. Then Ahaziah, son of Ahab, said to Jehoshaphat, "Let my sailors join yours in the fleets," but Jehoshaphat refused. So after this, the son of Ahab wants to join in. He's like, not happening. Jehoshaphat passed away and was buried with his ancestors in the city of his ancestor David. His son Jehoram replaced him as king. In the 17th year of Jehoshaphat reign over Judah, Ahab's son Ahaziah became king over Israel in Samaria. He ruled for 2 years over Israel. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, followed in the footsteps of his father and mother, like Jeroboam, son of Nebat. This is interesting. Like, this is one of the only times we have the footsteps of mother. Jezebel is the mother. He's following in her footsteps. He encouraged Israel to sin. He worshipped and bowed down to Baal, angering the Lord God of Israel, just as his father had done. There we go. We finished